Somebody's coming out of the closet in support of gay marriage. In a new blog for the Huffington Post, Orthodox Rabbi and social justice activist Rabbi Shmuly Yanklowitz wrote 5 reasons being an Orthodox rabbi compelled me to support gay marriage. He now joins us. Sir, welcome.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Paul. Nice to join you.
Always good to join you, sir. Why'd you write this blog?
You know, it really comes for me from a deep place of belief in God and in the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, and in the sense that this heated issue has become so important that there are people searching for love and we need to support them. There are people searching for dignity and we need to honor that. There are people who are in danger, who have become suicidal from a culture of abuse and bullying, and we need to support them. And I feel that I have stood on the sidelines for too long out of fear of speaking out on this issue, and I realized my moral conscience compelled me to come out and say, listen, I stand as an ally in solidarity.
What do you say to the fundamentalists, and I would ask you the same thing, Paul, who point to the thou shalt nots, and obviously not the actual 10 Commandments, but the book of Leviticus and other places, as evidence that we shouldn't be doing this, that we are actually sort of doctrinally charged not to take that position?
You know, I would say a couple things. First, I would point to all the other verses that are about justice and about human dignity and ask how they're upholding those values when they're looking at this. But I would also say, are you serving the broader cause of the other sexual values emphasized in the Torah? To fight against adultery, to fight against rape, to fight against child abuse. You know, if gay marriage is your one issue and you're sidelined on those other issues, you've been ineffective as a religious leader. But even further, I would say that this is a life and death issue for many people. And as religious leaders, they need to stand on the side of life. And lastly, that I really believe that religion will become irrelevant in this country. You know, you talked about this just a few minutes ago. Religion will become irrelevant when religious leaders stand on the wrong side of justice. And I'm proud of my fellow rabbis and religious leaders who stood with Mandela and who stood with MLK and other causes of civil rights. And today is another time to stand up.
Rabbi, I have a question. You said in your blog that you still would not be able to marry yourself 2 men or 2 women, and yet you're coming out as an ally of gay marriage in general. How do you resolve those things, and where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah, you know, it's really hard to say where this will go. You know, I've seen people throughout the religious traditional faiths and throughout the Orthodox community divided on this, but mostly silent on this issue. And the Orthodox community does not have a model for performing gay marriage. But you know, I think of a story of I've had so many students. Let me tell you about it recently. I'll call him Moshe, who, because of the inequality and the culture of bullying and harassment, he pushed him to almost take his life. And I can't anymore stand beside, you know, I don't have all the religious problems resolved. There's a lot of tension there I'm still working through. But on this issue, I have total clarity, which is that we need to change this culture and honor the dignity of people. And part of that is about equal rights.
I got to ask you again, because I got to push back a little bit. And in the article, you give some great reasons for why you support gay marriage, whether it's empathy for loving relationships, granting basic rights, the shared history of Jewish people. It totally makes sense to want to resist oppression, to want to challenge this. I still wonder, though, and I agree with that, by the way. I take the same position that you do on gay marriage. My question is, I guess, ultimately, can you do that and still be Orthodox? Might it be simple to say I'm no longer Orthodox, right? That I'm taking a somewhat unorthodox posture with regard to the church, that I'm not going to be bound textually to a particular position that I find to be homophobic?
No, it's the opposite for me. It is because I'm Orthodox and so deeply committed to Orthodoxy, that is why I feel absolutely compelled to take this position. I believe these texts for me are literally the Word of God. I really believe that. And when it says you have to save life, I think we have to do that when we have to honor the dignity of people. And the verse, which is a different issue, but the verse about the prohibition of homosexual acts, I see is totally separate from the issue of gay marriage as a civil rights issue versus a religious issue, and further about sexual actions versus the sanctity of marriage. And I think we have an obligation as religious leaders to honor and celebrate people who love each other and who want to build a home and support a family.